From Tobacco Republic in Loomis, California, the Loomis Cigar Cartel presents Beyond the Humidor, a cigar podcast for the rest of us. Hey everybody, welcome back. Scott Robinson here with you on another edition of Beyond the Humidor. We had breakfast this morning like we usually do, and some of us ate more than others, and some of us are kind of like in comfy, sleepy, nighty mode. I'm looking at you, Larry.
What are you trying to say, man?
Man, before the show, you like this. Dee-dee-dee. Look, at Greg looks like he's high.
He's not. He's just sleeping.
Not likely.
Oh, let's send it over to Richie Cunningham. How's it going there?
I don't get that reference.
He answered.
So anyway, morning everybody. It's an early morning.
Yes, it is.
So I talked about this at breakfast.
Here we go.
I tried a new coffee last night. For those of you that follow Facebook, I have some here now. It's Cove Luwak. $300 a pound.
Pinky up. Is that what you were trying to allude to this morning when you asked us if we saw your Facebook post? I thought you were talking about the cigars.
Yeah, it's coffee that's been shit out of a servant's butt.
So basically, you're eating ass.
Pretty much.
Excuse me, drinking ass.
Pretty much. Hey, I was trying to set him off, not you, but apparently it's not working.
Jesus Christ.
Larry's
No, it's
sleepy.
actually not $300 a pound. It's way cheaper than that. But it was just, it came to fame with the movie. Crap.
I know which
should
one.
this
It's
The movie
Nicholson.
Crap.
It's
the
Nicholson,
bucket
list.
list
with Morgan
because
Freeman and Nicholson.
Nicholson's character was rich beyond the dreams of avarice and loved it and drank it everywhere. Well, Roy was up at the shop last night and stopped in and had some with him, and he goes, "Hey, you want to try the Kopi Luwak?" I'm like, "Sure, why not? Let's brew a pot." And last night I smoked a Red Screaming Sun, which is a really heavy stout Maduro by Paul Stulak.
Okay.
And the dark roast of this poop coffee just really worked. It was delicious. Go ahead, I'm waiting. I'll wait.
I got nothing.
Okay, good.
Help me out here.
All you're doing is filtering water through grounds.
Yeah.
That's all I did.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, my son.
This is what we've come to, folks. It was bound to happen.
Yeah,
How is it? Is the coffee at least good?
I think so. I got some at home. I got a little bit left at home. I can bring it for you. It does not go through. The grounds are so fine, it doesn't go through a K-cup machine, though. You have to brew it in a regular coffee pot.
Huh. I'll be damned. Maybe I'll just put a pinch between my cheek and gum.
You can do that.
All right. Well, that crashed and burned miserably. Next.
So it's August. What's the cigar of the month, Mr. Robinson?
Well, this was your selection and one of our listener suggestions, actually. The Chupacabra.
About freaking time, by the way.
Jesus.
No, I'm saying it's about freaking time we got a listener suggestion on this program.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I take
We
that
appreciate
back.
that.
Now, the other three of you need to chime in with a suggestion. Jesus.
As I was saying, this is the Chupacabra by Esteban Carreras. It is Nicaraguan, created at the Tabacaleria Carreras in Esteli, Nicaragua. I am smoking the Siglo 6x54 in natural. Now, upon initial, because I'm doing this totally cold, I've never had this before. Now, I took a sniff of the cigar. Now, we've said a million times, never, ever, ever do that when you're in a cigar shop. But if it's your cigar, you can do that if you want to get the sense of the cigar. But what's better is once you cut it, and then you just kind of do what they call a cold draw, inhaling through it. But, of course, I've lit this. But if it wasn't lit, just take a puff through it to get the aromatics of the cigar. And Greg was talking about it's chocolatey and this. And I've always had an aversion to cigars that taste like food. If you've heard a previous podcast where I've spoken on this, it's like, if I want food, I will have food. I don't need to smoke my food. Well, you know what I mean. Anyway.
You got to give up the purple cape, man.
Yeah, I do have to break out the purple cape. but that's for another show. Anyway, upon the cold draw, putting that air through it, you are getting the chocolatey.
It's in there.
Chocolatey.
Gotcha.
I'm a child of the cereal commercial.
It was a chocodile, folks.
Chocolate dinosaur?
Y'all killing me. But anyway, so you do get that creamy chocolate flavor from the cold draw of the cigar. Once lit, I'm getting that smooth creaminess. Didn't really expect that, but honestly didn't know what to expect with this cigar. But right now on my initial puffs, it's a nice, smooth, flavorful taste. And I'm curious, though, about the Maduro. I just wasn't in the mood for a Maduro this morning. So, again, I'm smoking a natural. Larry, you're smoking a Maduro there. Talk to me.
I am in the Robusto Grande, or Toro. It's on the cold draw. I did a cold draw this morning, too, which I don't normally do. And you get almost a coffee sensation on the cold draw.
Okay.
And that's intensified a little bit once you light it. Now, as far as a Maduro goes, this is probably a little stronger than you might want to start out with if you've never smoked Maduros. This would be a little bit bigger Maduro to jump into,
Right.
If you're not used to Maduros. But if you have a Maduro cigar in your rotation every once in a while, this one won't be any problem for you. The size-wise, make sure you put a good cut on these. I've noticed this is a pigtail on the end when it comes out, and I've noticed with the pigtail cigars, I have to put a little bit deeper cut than on some other cigars of the same ring gauge, just so that I get the draw that I like.
You bring up something interesting, though, as far as the cut goes. What are you using to cut? Are you using something like this?
Not for a pigtail.
Right, okay.
Honestly, on this one, the proprietor here has the 4-station cutter up there, which is 2 sizes of V-cuts and 2 sizes of straight cuts. For this one, I did both sizes of straight cuts. I took the pigtail off with a small cutter, and then I cut a little farther into that just so that I can get the draw I like. I don't like having to pull to get the draw.
I get that.
And for whatever reason, in my experience, the pigtails seem to kind of clamp down that front end of the cigar and just make it tighter at the end. So if you don't get that cut, or you're working it a little bit with your finger to get it opened up, I don't get the draw that I like, and I don't end up enjoying the cigar for the first part because I'm fighting the draw.
That's an interesting perspective as far as doing a double cut, because I would not use this to cut a pigtail. Just because you're going to get half the pigtail, then you'll get the rest of the pigtail, then you're cutting through it.
You're 4 times into that to get the cut you want.
And then more than likely you're going to take the cap off and you're going to have a cigar unraveling on you. Mm-hmm. But I just honestly on the proprietor's cutter at the register, I just do one that's straight and deep and just smack it, and it works pretty well. I managed to get the pigtail off at the same time, getting the cap off and getting that satisfactory draw.
Now, I pull Estevan Carrera through my rotation pretty regularly because I like their line. In the Chupacabra, I'm more of a fan of the natural than I am the Maduro for whatever reason. But I went ahead with the Maduro this morning just so you and I'd have something different.
Right on.
But I think they're both great cigars.
Yeah, I think this is very good, especially when you look at the price point. Mm-hmm. I've had cigars that are, 3 to 10 times more than what this is. I mean, we're talking about something that's under $10, in a nice, comfortable, closer to, if you're not living in California with the exorbitant taxes, you're looking at something in like the $7 range. Mm-hmm. And, for a $7 cigar, I mean, this is...
this is a winner. This is
a
winner all day long at $7 for sure.
And I guess, would this be considered a boutique cigar?
No.
Okay.
Not technically. I mean, boutique.
I've heard the argument, and some people say that this would be considered a boutique cigar in some of the reviews I've read, and I'm kind of like, Esteban Carreras plays with the big boys. I mean, I don't, and that's no disrespect to smaller houses, but I don't consider Carreras a small house.
Well, the term boutique is thrown around easily. So it's not a clear definition, but Esteban Carreras is a pretty good sized manufacturer.
Yeah,
they make boutique lines within their houses, but this one, if we were talking about this, if this podcast was airing 10 years ago, yeah, you could probably say that Chupacabra was boutique at the time because it was new, it was not being made in large quantities, but now it's a staple in a lot of places.
Well, boutique is an interesting term in this industry too, cigar industry, because some of the listeners out there may have heard from their local brick and mortar that this is a boutique cigar because it's harder for some areas, some shops to get.
That's true.
So if it's something that they have a hard time getting, then it's a boutique. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. And also there's the allure. There's some people who enjoy boutique cigars, stuff from what they think smaller houses. Like if we were talking about wine, for instance, I don't go for the huge winemakers. I go for small, for lack of a better word, ma and pa winemakers, because I think you get better batches out of them and you don't get mass produced, as I call it, crap.
Well, and you get something, that somebody's put the labor of love, so to speak, into. Mm-hmm. It was funny. We were down in San Diego last weekend, and I didn't get a chance to stop at Cigar Grotto. One, because we were on a short, kind of a tight time frame.
Sure.
And two, it is, the peak of the summer season in Southern California. So if you want to go any place, and walk, you got to park 37 blocks away. But the last couple of times I've been in Cigar Grotto, which is in Oceanside, right on what used to be Hill Street for you purists, now it's Pacific Coast Highway. It's a tiny shop. It's maybe the size of the humidor in the place that we do our recording.
Right.
But that was the reason I brought this up, is because the last two times I've been in there, the regulars or the proprietor are talking about sticks that we would consider mass-produced, a very easy-to-get cigar here in our area, because our brick and mortar is a huge vendor for said cigar, but this smaller shop is not.
Right.
So they market it different. So
I can see that.
They market it as, hey, these are limited. These are really hard to get. No, they're really hard for you to get.
Right.
But the marketing works. The guys that come in there regularly, they don't see this stuff either, because other shops in the area don't carry it. So it's a unique boutique cigar.
Yeah, it creates a sense of urgency.
Absolutely.
Because you sit there and your proprietor comes out with, and it's happened more than once here. It's like, there are 3 boxes of this. Can't get it anywhere else because they're limited runs. And you find the right cat, and he's going to look at that and go, well, hell, I'll take all 3 boxes. We have one of those in here, by the way, and I'm not naming them by name, but we got a cat here. It's like, oh, yeah, there's a limited run of something. And next thing you know, oh, I'll come pick up a box tomorrow. You show up, it's like, well, what happened to him? Well, just bought all 3.
Yeah, you got to hear about it before he does if you want me. That's for sure. And that don't happen every time, but enough times that it's a talking point. Let's put it that way.
And of course, the proprietor knows the people who are going to do that, because he'll do that. Psst, hey kid, psst, hey kid, come here. We've all been summoned into the proprietor's office once or twice, and it's like, hey, I was. This just happened to either I came across it. Don't ask me how I came across it.
It fell off the truck.
I wasn't going to say that, but yeah.
Or there's my personal favorite. Hey, based on what you've smoked before, and you're like,
I
because
just get my wallet out when he says that to me.
yeah,
I'm like, all right.
well, and what Scott's talking about, the psst, psst, if the camera was able to turn around and I show you the door into the humidor that's behind the camera there, he looks through the glass because it's a what do they call that, Larry? Mullioned window pane, and he goes.
They call it a glass door. So
Well, anyway,
check it.
and he'll look at you through the glass, and he'll stare into the lounge here for quite a while until you catch his eye, and then he goes.
For those of you who don't have video, that's Greg making the little finger gesture.
Come here,
No,
gesture.
not that one. The other one.
And then, you walk into the humidor and all hell breaks loose and the Jedi mind trick works and suddenly you're parted with your money.
These are the droids you're looking for.
Yeah. And the P is always under the middle walnut shell, damn it.
Now, we've ignored Greg with regards to what he's smoking. So
What else is new?
Well, yeah, we always do, but that's okay. Let's make an exception and give him a shot.
What type of Lancero you're smoking, sir?
Oh, thank you. Generous. So, funny that, okay? We call it a Lancero here in this shop, but it's actually a long Corona is what they're calling this. It's a 44 by 6.
I'll be damned.
Yeah. So to be frank, I love this cigar. It's a great stick. This stick, however, seems to be having issues. I've got a tight draw. I've already busted the cap.
Operator error?
Yeah, the tight draw is not operator error, but the keeping it lit, because I'm not talking as much as I usually do when there's no camera and we're sitting here hanging out, but it's just not staying lit for me. Does that change any of the good things that we've said about it? No. Just I'm fighting this particular cigar, and since we started recording, it's not like I can get up and go get another one.
Well, who says you can't? Just get up and go get another one.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
Okay. We offered.
Fester's going to monkey through it.
Pretty much.
All right.
But there's still, it's a great stick, and Larry's absolutely right. That pigtail, because that's what I did. I cut it a second time because of the draw was tight, and I'm like, and then the cap popped, and off we go.
Pigtail's a pain in the ass. If you're, and it's not a gimmick anymore.
No.
There's just why? Just wrap the damn thing.
Yeah, but I got a love-hate thing with the pigtail because it's kind of cool.
That's just because you have an unhealthy relationship with bacon.
Oh, you brought
Rayleigh's
that up.
bacon.
Okay, well, let's discuss bacon just for a quick minute. We're going to go on the small side here. Being from California, and I don't think these two guys have heard, but I heard.
You mean the bacon shortage that's coming?
Oh, you do know about the bacon shortage.
I work in the grocery industry. Of course I know.
And you haven't said a word about it to me. This is supposed to be my fucking grocer. And my green grocer, I had to hear it from my wife.
Back up a minute. I am your green grocer because you buy your freaking bacon from Rayleigh's.
You're still my grocer.
But you buy your bacon from Rayleigh's, so it doesn't really apply that I tell you about the bacon shortage. Your meat clerk at the Rayleigh's store, he can tell you about the bacon shortage.
I feel the animosity.
Don't you know?
Is this something we need to take a few minutes and discuss, man?
Not on the camera.
You want to put your feet up?
But anyway, nonetheless.
And talk to Unky Larry?
Larry's couch is now open.
Whoa! Pump the brakes! Ooh.
Larry's hanging his shingle outside his office. He'll be moving a couch in next to the printer next week.
Yeah. At least it's a shingle.
Yeah.
So
I thought that was going to get past you. It did not.
Yeah.
So
watch out for the gravy.
Well, I'm out.
So no, that and we're digressing off of our regular topic here, but
just as
for those of you who don't live in California, the stupidity that goes on in this state is ridiculous. Now, a law that was passed back in 2018 means pigs can't be in pens, chickens can't be in cages, this, that, and the other thing. All this quote-unquote cruel things. It's food. Do I care if Porky gets to run around in the field before we execute his ass and then consume him? Not really.
No. The short trip to Grandma's house in this whole conversation, and Greg's right, is basically California will not allow pork to be sold if it's not running wild and free. And we're not even talking about free range. It's the size of the pin that it's in. It's like instead of being, and I'm just throwing numbers out, instead of being like 5x5, it has to be 10x16 or some crap.
I got news for the state of California. If it's a fenced-in acre, it's still a freaking cage. It's just a really goddamn big one.
Yeah, so anyway, so they're not going to allow the importation or the sale of bacon that doesn't follow these guidelines. So therefore, the folks in Kansas, Smith, and who else is it? There's a whole bunch.
There's Smithfield, there's Bar S, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, they're going to say, screw you, California. We're not, refurbing our pig pens for your benefit. And California will say, fine, you can't sell bacon. So come next year, there may be a bacon shortage, and I may be really, really grouchy, or I may do like a bacon version of Walter White.
Dude, we just drive over the mountain to Nevada. We stop at Fumari and have cigars and bring back a ice chest full of bacon.
You haven't
And 5 bottles of Everclear.
Wait.
We're in good shape.
You haven't let me finish my thought. I was going to say, I either do like the Walter White version of bacon and become a, bacon cartel.
Well, you were talking about early retirement. Your new career could be bacon warlord.
I like it.
You start selling bacon out of a trench coat, we're done. I'm just saying.
Can't keep it cool in the French coat.
Kid.
It'll be in my trunk.
Hey, kid, take a look at what I got. It's bacon.
That's just sick.
Them scrambled eggs coming back up.
So anyway,
back to the
so Esteban Carreras, as the cigar of the month, I think it's a really great choice. Their lines, no matter what line, the Chupacabra in particular happens to be one of my favorites, but they're solid cigars. They make a variety of different flavors, choices, colors for you to choose from. It's just a solid line, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. What else does Esteban, what other cigars?
The 187, the 5150, the 211.
Those were my favorite go-tos at one time. And for no other reason than I found other stuff. But I mean, I'd say probably about 6 or 7 years ago, I was really into those 211s and 187s.
Yeah, the 5150 out of that group's my favorite.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
They have, on this wall opposite the phone there, they have a whole bunch of options from Esteban Carreras. But I'll be honest with you guys as the viewers, I don't really smoke. Aside from like the 187 and the 211 and the Chupacabra, that's pretty much my Esteban Carreras, what I smoke on theirs. But the line is really good. It's something that get in there and experiment. Try them.
I would agree. Now, you were speaking earlier about the issue you're having with your cigar with the draws and whatnot. And let's just talk for a minute about some of the perils that'll happen to your cigar. Like, for instance, one of the main ones that'll happen is canoeing.
Yeah. And there's lots of different thoughts, and I have a few remedies that were shared with me by various houses. But if you guys have smoked a cigar, and you get to where, like mine, it's really hard to see, and I can't zoom in because this camera's being stupid right now.
And if you're listening to it, it really doesn't matter because you can't see it anyway.
Yeah, that's true. If you look when you're smoking your cigar, the cherry, the lit end, is normally perpendicular to the direction the cigar goes, right?
Thank you for not saying shaft. Too late. Next.
So
Okie dokie.
a canoe is where the burn starts to take an angle, and in some cases, it literally will burn horizontal across the top of the cigar and not touch the bottom.
Basically, what you will get is you'll have the top half. If you hold the cigar up horizontally, thank you. You hold it horizontally, and the top burns, and you basically get this half of a cigar horizontally, looks like a floor almost.
Yeah.
Or canoe, or like a half a canoe.
Yep.
Is what'll happen to you.
And 9 times out of 10, let's be honest, that's operator error.
Yeah, but then you also get, and we're not slamming any cigars here, but it could also be a poorly made cigar.
Yeah.
I mean, even as an experienced cigar smoker, you will do the operator error kind of thing, but sometimes they're just, poorly made and not tightly wrapped, and the burn is just off. When we don't take for granted from, the cigars that we like, and all the cigars here at Tobacco Republic are well made, well constructed. When we say well constructed, we're not just pulling that out of our ass. It's a truly well constructed cigar will hold its own, give you an even burn if you do things correctly.
Well, one of the things you need to do correctly is maintain it.
That's very true.
I have had very few problems canoeing, tunneling, things like that with cigars that have been purchased, maintained by a reputable brick and mortar establishment.
Yes.
Whether it's this one, whether it's some of the other ones that I go to. Where I have my biggest problem with how a cigar burns is if it's something I've gotten offline, or it's something that has been in a travel humidor for a while, or just the care is as important as the construction.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I would
keep
agree
that in
that.
mind. You're liable to have something go bad on you because it wasn't stored properly, or if it wasn't cared for properly. So
Right. And I'd say this too, and I met a couple of occasional cigar smokers earlier in the week, and, talking to them kind of harkens back to when I was occasionally smoking cigars, and I wasn't really up on my humidification. It was like they sat in a box, and I kept it somewhat seasoned, but, some time would pass, and, be like 6 months later, you pull one out and it starts burning weird, and I'm wondering what's going on. And it's all about maintaining. Even if you're an occasional cigar smoker, they're not paying me, but Boveda's great. I love that little packet you can just put into your humidor, your travel humidor, your desk humidor, and it takes care of all the work for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, definitely recommend those, for occasional cigar smokers. And you just keep an eye on it. If you've got a little humidor, you keep an eye on it every few months even.
Yep.
And you just make sure it doesn't it doesn't dry out. Contrary to what people will tell you, because there's stuff all over the internet. They talk about how to recondition a Boveda pack. Dude, don't bother. If you can afford getting cigars, just get a new Boveda.
Yeah.
I love that when people talk about, you look on the internet and you'll see guys with the secret to, you don't need to buy more Boveda packs. You just have to do this or X, Y, and Z, and it comes back.
So it's funny you say that. I tried that
Did you?
just to see if it was true and if it would work. They do come back, but they're not the same. They're not as good. They're not holding humidity as well for me. So I'm in your same camp.
But see,
I'm in your same camp.
Yeah, the whole
Buy a new
thing,
one.
though, yeah, the whole thing is the point of the Boveda is so you don't have to do any work. You're paying for getting some time back, as far as reseasoning or redoing your pack. It's like you're going to take anywhere from how long did it take you to do whatever technique you used to bring the pack back?
A week.
Okay, so for the cost of a Boveda, you get a week of work of time back to
Yeah,
you.
it wasn't worth it. And I'm
Exactly.
not talking, this experiment that I did, because it truly was an experiment. I just wanted to see what it would be like.
Oh, I know.
And, I've got that big 400 count humidor.
Yeah.
So I'm not using the regular little Bovedas that are like this. I'm using a Boveda that's like that big. For those of you who can't see this, we're talking it's 8x6, pretty good size pack.
Gotcha.
And I need 4 of those to run my humidor. Well, that's $80 every time I have to change it. So I said, okay, let's try the experiment. But guess what? It's $80 well spent, because it's literally open the packs, throw them in there, walk away. And all I have to do with that particular humidor, I have a butler in it that Bluetooths to my phone and tells me what the humidity level is. And when I see it start dropping below 65, it's time to replace the packs.
Yeah.
How long do those 4 packs last you in that 400 count?
About 3 months.
That's not bad then.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
But now that we're in summer, they're working a little harder. I'm having to replace them a little more often, only because, in the wintertime, it's easier to keep the house at a constant temperature than it is in the summertime.
Dude, in good conscience, you could honestly graduate, if you can find one, a stand-up humidor, a bigger humidor that you put in a humidification system for stuff like that. When you start graduating to, because 80 is kind of high. If you're talking every 3 months, you're talking about spending 200. You're talking about what is that? 300, 240. Yeah, $240 a year.
A year, basically, which it is what it is. It's also the cost to play in this arena.
Yeah, but at 240, you could buy a humidification system.
And that's true. And it's actually one of the things that's in my future is a cabinet humidor. Larry and I have talked on several occasions about building one, making it look like an old-fashioned gas pump. But the reality of the situation is it's just easier to buy one, which I may have to consult my local tobacconist for.
Yeah. You could always do them.
Buy local, because the shipping on those things is astronomical.
Oh, when I went to look for my cabinet humidor, I know. I was like, it's only about $600. I can do that at $445 shipping. That's great.
And the third try, they get you one that's not damaged.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what Roy and Sam had. This first one came damaged. They needed a second one.
Now, one of the other issues with Cigar Follies is cigars that crack basically fall apart on you.
Oh, well, are we going to talk about the solutions to both problems after this?
Yeah, let's talk about them both after this, because I think they all interrelate. I think it's the same thing.
They do.
Because if you get a cigar that's cracking, that is basically poor humidification.
Absolutely.
In which we were hearkening on with the Bovida packs and moisture.
But there is a segment. Connecticut broadleaf is such a thin, delicate wrapper.
Yeah,
it may not be that it's poor humidification. It may just be hell. We tried an experiment in here one day where we took a leaf and set it out here. 30 minutes, it was dry and just cracked apart. So, but some of that is not the case, but predominantly it's, especially in like one of these, a darker leaf, you done screwed up and not humidified that properly.
Well, see, I would argue with the Connecticut that's still poor humidification, because the range that for humidification for a cigar is between 68 and 72. Yeah. That's the sweet spot. I would argue if you've got a Connecticut, you need to pump that bad boy up to maybe 73 or so, because you're dealing with a really delicate leaf and you want moisture to it. Now, I had hearkened earlier on the whole idea of cold draw and sniffing a cigar, which is a big no-no in public, but if they're your cigars...
Especially in a COVID world.
Yeah. If it's your cigar, do whatever the hell you want. Now, I did it just because I bought the cigar, so I can do that. Cold draw is better. Is a better way of getting the flavor, but you can still get a sense of the tobacco if you put it to your nose, but I digress. One of the things you can do when you are in your local cigar shop that is acceptable is if you take something that's not in cello and you can kind of test humidification of the humidor, is you put it in your fingers and you just kind of roll it a little bit. You aren't really being harsh, just roll it. And if you feel a harshness or a hardness, you can almost hear a little bit of cracking, that's a poorly humidified cigar. Now, does that mean that maybe you shouldn't buy it? Humidification systems aren't perfect, but if you get it home, I wouldn't smoke it right away. If it's for instance, if I came across a humidor and a box full of, let's say,
Sublimes.
Yeah. Well, let's go Opus X. Let's do something that we can actually get domestically with not much trouble. So if I come across a box of Opus X's and they're basically falling off a truck and they're a steel, and I roll it and it's like, these are kind of dry. I wouldn't say no. I take them home and put them in proper humidification and let them sit for a couple of months. And you're going to bring that cigar back.
Yeah.
In most cases, but it's just being cognizant. But if you want to smoke something right away, you pop into a humidor, you want to smoke something now, and you feel that kind of little bit of crackling, especially in Connecticut, I would shy away from it.
Yeah.
And you brought up a point a minute ago about more humidification for Connecticut's. Mm-hmm. On the larger guys with larger count humidors, And here's a question for listeners to respond to us, because I'd really like to know this. If you have a larger cabinet or a larger, table humidor, and you're a Connecticut guy, you got quite a few Connecticut's in there, are you running higher humidification than what most people say is correct?
I'll answer that question, and I'm going to leave. The listeners can rebuke this or agree with it if they like. Let your conscience be your guide. But one of the things in my cabinet humidor, because you've seen it, it's it's skinny. So my challenge is getting airflow through there, because I put my humidification at the bottom. I know that's contrary to what some people say, you put it on top, but it works for me better on the bottom. And what will happen is the lower shelves will get more humidification than the higher shelves. So I kind of put my Connecticut's near the bottom. You can give it some room so I can get airflow through there. And my darker cigars will go on top. Yes, I know, cigar segregation. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty much the same thing, because in my cabinet, the humidification is set up in the lower section.
Yeah.
And same type of thing. My lighter sticks are down lower in that.
Yeah.
And then, the darker stuff up higher.
Yeah, and one of the things that if you have the skinnier, whatever humidor you have standing, I would invest in hydrometers. You can get like a stock of 4 of them from Amazon, and I put them on different levels, because I'll see down at the bottom, I'm nearing 74. As I get higher, I'm like up 68, which is what I want. I want that range of 74 at the bottom, 68 at the top, because then I know where to place my stuff. I constantly keep an eye on it, because there's like, on one level is going to be a different level of humidification than it is at the bottom. It just is.
And for me being the tabletop guy in the room, well, like with my 400 count, I've got those 4 big Bovitas in there. So I got 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom.
Yeah.
So I'm getting fairly even consistency through that one. However, when you go to like my smaller tables, like my Rocky Humidor or my my leather one, those, because the humidification sits at the top, I tend to notice a little bit more of a fluctuation in those.
Sure.
So you're absolutely right, especially with a tall cabinet. If you get that range going, then you can stick stuff where you want it. But I've seen an article, and it was in Cigar Aficionado, I think was correct. They were talking about different humidity levels that people prefer. Some guys prefer that drier cigar. Some guys are like us, where we like to be right in that sweet spot. And there are some guys that prefer, 75 to 78% humidity, where the cigar's spongy. So it really does depend on preferences.
Yeah, the problem and the pratfalls you're going to have with that, if you start going extreme on one end or the other, you go on the bottom end of, you want to get it dry. Your cigar is going to have issues as far as maybe falling apart. If you go higher, then
Cigar beetles.
Exactly, you're inviting cigar beetles, because that's the type of environment it'll thrive in. The warm, moist, and you'll start having cigar beetle issues. So you have to be careful. And if you are going to go that extreme of humidification, you just got to keep you have to be religious, keeping an eye on your humidor to make sure you don't have that problem, because believe me, you get cigar beetles, you got problems. Basically, you are taking all your sticks and throwing them in a freezer for a while to kill the beetles, and then you are scrubbing. Well, not scrubbing, but you are going to clean that humidor out.
And then reseason.
Yeah, and then reseason, because you're going to have to clean it out, dry it out, let it dry out a little bit, and then, again, reseasoning.
And not to mention, at a certain point, too, you're also going to have to go through your stash and be prepared to throw away at least a third of them, because any ones that have the little round holes got to go.
Yeah. Now, one of the other issues with the crackling cigars, and there is user error, but I'm going to talk about something that's non-user error, is, actually it's kind of falls in both, is either A, you've taken off too much of the top of the cigar, you've gone beyond the cap, and your cigar starts falling apart, because the whole point of the cap, of cutting at the cap, is to make sure the cigar stays together. You cut beyond that, you're going to start to find that your cigar is going to start to unravel. You'll have like an end sitting there kind of loose, and you can tell as you smoke it, it's going to just start unraveling on you.
Yeah.
Now,
it is.
in some instances that are not user error, which is some, because this is a handmade product made by human beings, not robots or machines, at least the ones I like, you're going to come across an issue where there's not enough of what they call goma to glue. It's glue, basically, to glue the cap on to the cigar. It's not, secured well or done well. And that will also cause an unraveling.
He's tired, okay? Keep talking.
Yeah, I know.
Ignore him. Keep talking.
I'm still here, man. Calm down.
So when you get into those situations, let's tackle cracking first.
Talk to me.
The proprietor here gave me a tip, which I have employed because, those of you that don't know, we live in Northern California. Humidity here averages less than 10%, except in winter. So if you're going to take a cigar out and you're going to smoke it and you're worried, or you start smoking, or you take it out, you cut the top, you cut the cap and it cracks or something like that. One of the suggestions was made that you take a paper towel, get it wet, wring it out well. You don't want the towel to be sopping. You want it to be just, very damp to the touch. Wrap the cigar in that and let it sit for 15 minutes. The wrapper leaf is going to absorb some of that moisture, become a little bit more supple, and the cracking problem goes away. And it does work. I use it with Connecticut's periodically, particularly if I'm smoking like a Byron or an Atabe or something more on the high end where they're using really thin, really delicate leaves.
Yeah.
Works great. The other instance, and I have not tried this, but it's funny. They were using a product in the lounge I was in last weekend called cigar glue. And I have it's basically goma.
Okay, I've never heard of that.
With a paintbrush applicator on it. It'll be here in a couple of days. I ordered one so we could try it.
Now, what would be the point in that? I'm not.
If your cigar, like mine, where it's unraveling, I could, lift the unravel, paint a little bit of it on it, lock it back down, and continue to smoke my cigar, and it stops the unraveling process.
Just a curious question. I don't expect you to know the answer straight away. I mean, unfortunately, I didn't research this. This is something I'd have to Google, or if some of our listeners are astute to this, please respond and let us know. What is the glue or the goma made from?
Pectin. Goma is a pectin glue product, basically Jell-O.
Oh, okay.
Now, don't think you can go out and buy Jell-O off the shelf, because you can't. But no, Ron and I had this conversation. Damn it.
I just
Years
had
ago.
this thought. Hold on. I just had this thought about some fool going to the grocery store and buying like boxes of nuts, gelatin, and mixing it up.
Making up some lemon gelatin and sticking it into his cigar in it.
But no, we had this conversation years ago because he used to have a bottle in the back, a little jar of it.
Okay.
And it's a pectin, a plant-based pectin, which is why it's safe to use for cigars, and we can smoke through it. It's,
Well, I freaking hope so.
Yeah.
It's Roundup.
little rat poison chaser with your cigar there.
Now canoeing, keeping a canoe repaired, that's a whole different subject. And I don't know,
Roll it 80, 90 degrees and relight.
that's an option.
Yeah.
That's one of the options. Other option is the end that's not burning.
Tamp it out on the ashtray. Smash that crap down and try again.
Rotate that to the bottom.
No, that's not the right answer.
Torch it up a little bit.
That's it. When in doubt, more fire.
I don't know. Did you two get the opportunity to meet Phil Ziggy when he was here with Debonair a few years ago?
I did, unfortunately.
Okay. Remember when Eric had the Indian motorcycle outside? Yeah, you missed that one.
I did.
Yeah, it was nice. Anyway, Phil was sitting in here talking to us about obviously his line and everything. But one of the things he was talking about is someone had asked him, because he was maintaining his cigars impeccably. You know, while he was smoking and talking with us, the cigar was burning perfect. And he said, that's just us paying attention when we're smoking. Because a lot of this, frankly, is operator error. You know, he says, most people, when they smoke a cigar, if you watch, and we're all guilty of this, it never leaves their hand. It never rotates. It never changes hands. You just leave it in the same position and don't move it around. You're not rotating it a little bit periodically, so you're trying to keep the burn even. You're not touching it if you need to with a little flame. You're not, in one person's case that comes in, little eyedropper with water. I don't advocate this, but it may work for some people. And if they get a run to start that, they stop it. But one of the things Phil said that he has always done for years, and I employ this, is periodically, every 4 or 5 puffs that you take, blow back through the cigar. It pushes all that stale smoke that builds up out.
Yes.
But 2, it keeps forcing the cherry to the outer edge of the diameter of the cigar and keeps it forward, and it helps to keep that runaway of a canoe away. And it does work. At least it does for me.
I've seen that too. Also, I've heard suggestions from some tobacconists where you see the start of a canoe and you take basically a little tool and you kind of like chip around it a little bit, and then you blow like 3 hard puffs through to bring the cherry back, and then you take a couple of puffs to even it out.
That's an option too.
And then the other one, of course, is just leave it be. Leave it be, and it will catch up with itself. I haven't had much success in that, but that must be when it's very, very minor. If you could see my cigar now, you don't have really a canoeing, but there's not an evenness there either. But, you know, you have to really look at it to see if it's detectable or not. But still, it's still a decent burn. Mm-hmm. But, you know, just kind of leave it alone, or just, if you wanted to, just kind of, you know, take a little bit of it off. Now, see, when I take a little bit of the ash off, you can tell it's not canoeing, but it's not the most even smoke. But it's still, you know, still smokes well.
Yeah. I mean, canoes, when we're talking canoes, we're talking massive. You know, one of our counterparts here that hangs out with us here in the lounge, we were smoking in his backyard one night, and it started to canoe. And instead of doing the traditional straight across the cigar canoe, it literally burned in a spiral all the way. It was following the line of the wrapper leaf and burning that way.
Okay. I've never seen that. I'd love to get a picture of that.
I have a picture. I have to find it.
Okay,
because we took a picture of it.
That's wild.
It was incredible, and you know, so things happen. It's part of the process of being cigar smokers. But so, what do you think on the? How's that pairing with the Macallan?
Oh, it's great. I'm getting the caramel notes. Maybe not. I'd say more of caramel. I was going to say molasses, but not quite. You know, it's like a chocolate. And again, I only use this analogy because it's the most easily relatable as far as, you know, talking about flavor with regards to food. With the chocolatey notes of the Esteban Carreras Chupacabra and the caramel of the Macallan, it's really nice. It's a good taste. Chocolate wrapped in caramel. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
You're going a little peppery with the Maduro.
Yeah, and
not so much of the of a caramel, but you are getting a little bit of spice on the end with the draw, and that's fine with the Macallan as well. And this has been a little bit of a challenge. I've had to kind of rotate this one a little more, and going back to what Greg said just a minute ago, you got to kind of pay attention when you're smoking. And I roll my cigar probably more than the average person, just because that's kind of how I started out.
Yeah.
So I'm always, you know, kind of paying attention to that, and I tap the ash a lot more than a lot of people do, because I'm usually in the reclined position and I don't want it dropping on me. So
Depends on your mood, really. And that's part of the fun of cigar smoking. If you've ever sat back and watched someone's style of smoking a cigar, it's interesting. Different people have different styles as to how they smoke. Every now and then what I'll do is smoke it and just let that ash just, get longer and longer and longer, and seeing how much of an ash I can get before it falls off. Sometimes it's real successful. I'll have like a 4 or 5 inch ash on a cigar, and it's like delicate. I mean, very, very delicate. You don't want to do a sudden movement or it's going to fall in your lap, or you get that point, you start looking at the ash, and you can see there'll be little cracks in the ash. And you're like, okay, that one's getting ready to go. And that's the challenge. It's kind of challenging yourself. And
It usually doesn't end well for you either.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. It's just it's
never
just the way it works.
What he's talking about, I hardly ever do, because inevitably I end up wearing it.
Yeah. And you have to have that one ash shirt. It's got 7 burn holes in it.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, much to my wife's chagrin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like I'm 8 years old and I ripped my pants for the 3rd time. It's like, how do I hide this in the hamper? Not because I'm going to get yelled at. It's just the look she gives me of disgust.
Just throw it away at that point.
Oh, yeah.
What happened to that shirt?
I have no idea.
You must have lost it in the laundry.
Rep it, dry cleaner, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that flies in your house.
Nah, not really.
Mm-hmm.
You dry clean shit?
I used to dry clean a lot, to be perfectly honest. There was this one joint I knew that it was relatively inexpensive, but that shop's gone away. And when it's kind of like, $5 to $8 a shirt, no.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
No. It's just all
And people
bad.
be like, aren't you worried about your shirts being wrinkled? No, because I wear bell bottom and it just stretches them right out. So we're fine with that.
There's this thing called an iron.
That's just in 1920.
It is for me, because those 100% cotton shirts, I don't put them through the dryer, and then I got to iron them.
Well, yeah.
You got to iron all your work shirts?
Yeah. You should see what they look like if I don't. I am a fat guy, as you can all clearly see. And if I don't iron them, when I sit down, the shirt goes, and then you got the, the diamond shaped hole where the 2 buttons are holding it. And if I iron it, it's all smooth and I look presentable and don't look so, fat.
Interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't wear button up shirts.
I just got this image of the button being that cliche in the movie. The button's holding on to the other end.
It's gritting its teeth.
And it's screaming, get out of here!
It's going to blow!
What about you? Just get out of here! Go!
Run for your lives! This dam's going to break! Oh.
Well, it's true.
Hey, life is life.
Yeah. COVID has not been very kind.
To a lot of us.
Yeah.
Myself included. Speaking of...
Yeah, but you're actually motivated to get in the gym. I'm not.
That means nothing until I get into the gym.
Yeah, Pat and I are supposed to start a 3-day trial on Monday. That's my youngest son, who's in a lot better shape than I am.
Yeah, I keep looking on YouTube like the Why People Hate Steven Seagal videos, hoping that motivates me to go to the gym.
Oof. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this. I know I need to do something, but them first couple of days, whew. Yeah, I am not excited.
Yeah, the first couple of days are the worst.
You're not helping, Robinson.
They're just not. I mean, I'm just getting you ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I'm not a complete moron, contrary to popular opinion, but yeah, I'm not looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, I haven't found a gym yet where I can be in there on a treadmill with a cup of coffee and a cigar. That tends to shoot some of the enthusiasm of the other participants in the foot.
Don't treadmill it. Just a piece of advice. I wouldn't if I were you.
Yeah.
No, dead mill. You were so fond of that.
I hate that shit. Oh, I truly hate it. Basically, remember the Flintstones where they had like the little dinosaur on the treadmill? Yeah. Basically, you are the power. The treadmill doesn't move until you move, so you're making that belt move without power.
Oh, hell no, I'm not doing that.
Oh yeah,
Hey.
it sucks rocks.
Tabby's the one that taught him that.
Well, that explains it.
Well, yeah.
Damn heroin addict.
I love you, Tabby. Oh yeah, I get occasional texts from her. Where have you guys been?
Dying.
Like we're hiding out.
I don't know about that chick, man. I always get that judgmental look from her.
I know, right?
Oh, look at this fat guy.
Not at all. She's a sweetie.
I didn't say she wasn't sweet. I said I got a judgmental look. she may not even know she's doing it. It may not even be on purpose.
She's basically looking at, oh, look, 2 more clients.
Yeah, she's giving me that. I could kill that fat bastard. Yes, you could, sweetheart. We're not trying it. Not today.
Oh, come on. I'll give you one of my free
Here it comes.
one of my freebies, and you can come in and do Body Fit with us.